Thanks very much. The birth of the dynasty. October 1854 saw the arrival of Malin Rumbelow and his wife and 8 children in Adelaide. The journey on the Festingy Bombagi taking 100 days. An unimaginable journey to us on today's standards, and we only surmise the heartache and treacherous nature of such a trip. Upon reaching Adelaide and proceeding to organise a trip to Victor Harbour, the family arrived at Victor Harbour on January the 5th, 1855. The family consisted of 6 girls and 3 boys. Godfrey died soon after reaching Victor. Alice married Cain Jelliff, who was a sailor on the Festingy Bombagi, and also married Edward Bolger. Samuel died in England, aged 5 months. Sophia married William Robinson and Alexander. Mahalia married Henry Weymouth and Edward Bolger. Must have been a good bloke, that Edward Bolger. Caroline married John Cakered. Malin II married Glastonbury. Emma married Thomas Watson and Edward Bolger. Sarah married William Watson. And 2 more children were born to the couple in Victor Harbour. David, born in 1855 and died in 1859, and Hannah, born February 1858 and died in March 1862. This left Malin II to carry on the family name and become a pioneer in the fishing industry in South Australia and create a dynasty that has been well known and respected ever since. Before the start of the involvement in fishing, Alice and her husband Cain Jelliff, along with Carolyn and her husband John Cakered, travelled to Bendigo and worked in the goldfields for a while. Alice, who decided the harsh conditions in the goldfields were not the best place for her younger sister, and they travelled back to Victor Harbour. In 1863, Malin II married Mary Glastonbury, a South Australian girl from Hope Valley. It's unclear, however, why Mary had been in the Yuki area for some time before they married. In 1864, Malin II commenced fishing with Cain Jelliff, and the early beginnings of an outstanding career were evident. For many years, the pair continued fishing the waters of Encounter Bay and the surrounds as far as the Murray Mouth Island. Alice played an important part in this business by hooking the fish and taking fish to market. During this time, Malin II and Cain were involved in organising the first New Year's Day sailing regattas and sports events in 1869, an event that continued for many years and was still going into the 1940s. In March 1877, Cain Jelliff drowned while returning to Goolwa from the Murray Mouth during a storm. After Cain's death, Malin II continued fishing, now trading as Rumbelow and Sons and involving the whole family in the workings of the business. His family was William Henry, married Mary Pearce. David Malin III married Susan Pearsons. Godfrey II married Ada Heading. Alice never married. Rose married John Strawbridge. Cain married Susanna Bailey. Maria Jane married Joshua Tuggle. Died in 1886, aged 5, and Grace married David Bucks. Malin II was one of the pioneers of the rock lobster fishery in South Australia, and his son Henry, Malin III, Godfrey and Cain all played significant parts in catching and sale of fish. Henry and Malin III and Cain all excelled as fishermen and developed great sailing and boating skills. They were all regarded as great sailors and won many races in their fishing cutters. As would be expected, there were many stories told of their feats and their reputations grew. Once during a state election, they were contracted to cart the ballot boxes from Kangaroo Island to Port Adelaide for the counting, an unusual contract of today's standards, and then normally it should have been a simple task. However, as luck would be, the weather was pretty stormy, and Henry had to walk miles through the rain and mud to collect the boxes once he got onto the island, and he'd returned to his dinghy. The storm had intensified. Rowing out to the cutter, there was a real danger the dinghy would be bashed against the Rambler or overturned in the rough seas. Providence took a hand as Henry neared. A large swell picked the dinghy up, and Malin seized the moment, grabbed the bow of the dinghy and dragged the boat Henry in ballot boxes on the deck of the Rambler, all in one almighty heave. The three ballers continued to battle the storm and deliver the ballot boxes on time. There was no doubt that Malin was indeed of huge stature and strength. Tales of huge hauls of mullet in the vicinity of 250 and 300 dozen were not uncommon, and battles with big sharks were also seemingly common occurrence. On one occasion when Henry and Godfrey were trying to land a huge haul of mullet, Godfrey was standing on a rock in shallow water when he noticed a large shark heading straight for him. Hearing his brother's call, Henry positioned their flatty between the shark and Godfrey, and with strength and agility enabling Godfrey to lunge into the boat, narrowly missing the jaws of the big shark. This story, although related for many years ago, is still relevant today, with a very similar occurrence happening to myself and younger brother Matt. After a heavy squall had damaged my catamaran during a yacht race off Victor, Matt and I were swimming around lashing bits and pieces of boat together when Matt was almost taken by a large shark as he climbed into the powerboat that was my dad trying to pick up the pieces. Actually, we have found during the research many dates and many occurrences seem to keep reoccurring. The third generation of Rumbelows were largely responsible for the beginning of the tourist trade in Victor Harbour. The Rumbelow men were well known for taking fishing and shooting in the area and regarded as having the ability to make even the most nervous of passengers feel at ease on board of their fishing boats. The Rumbelow women also played a big part running boarding houses that were often filled to capacity, especially during the summer months and holiday times. Growing numbers of Rumbelows and the high profile of the family led to the area being known as Rumbelow Town, and mail coming to the Yuki post office with that address. Malin III married Susan Pearsons in 1886, and together they had 8 children. Charles married Ruby Passenger. Susan never married. Ivy married Joanne Frederick Bartell. David married Mabel Morgan. William Ernest died at the age 15 years of age. Eric married Gwendolyn Chalmers. Lionel married Ivy Chilton. And Stanley Malin IV, commonly known as Wayne, married Hughes. Malin III died while fishing at the outer grounds pulling in snapper, just 10 days after Wayne was born. It is said his father Malin II, who had been suffering from failing health for some time, didn't recover from the shock. And the loss of his son also passed away just 3 months later. 5 of the sons of Malin III went on to become fishermen. After the death of Malin III, Cain and Henry continued fishing, though it was not long before Henry left in Canna Bay to take up farming at Narun. June of 1907 saw the business of M. Rumbelow and Sons dissolve. Cain kept fishing on the Swallow and later was joined by his son Hubert, known as Hugh. The Swallow was renowned as a very fast sailing vessel and was known to have made a trip from the Bluff to the outer in almost unbelievable time of 7 hours and 10 minutes. On this trip, Cain and Hugh were accompanied by Jack Passenger, and it was said that they hardly dared to move from the cockpit for fear of being washed overboard. This trip that used to take Dad and myself on the Taparoo about 11 hours, and we had sails. So it was a pretty quick trip. Malin III's eldest son Charles started a fishing business with his mother Susan and his brothers David, Eric, Lionel and Wayne. Grew old enough they also joined him. Henry and his son Walter fished in Lake Alexandrina and the Coorong until they returned to York in 1924. On the 23rd of December 1932, the double tragedy of the drowning of both Walter and David occurred off Waitfinger Beach. Walter's son Lester had become a fisherman also and fished the waters of Encounter Bay before he too headed down to the Coorong to continue fishing until almost to his death. After the tragic death of their brother, cousins Lionel and Ween continued fishing, Lionel in larger cutters and Ween working in the inshore waters of Encounter Bay. In another incident, Lionel avoided drowning while snooping at the outer grounds. He fell on the ivy when the under sail and the boom hit him and knocked him over the side. Watching his boat sail away from him must have been an eerie feeling, and yet seeing her round up into the wind and sail back to him in a large arc, passed close enough to him to grab a piece of rope that was over the stern and pull himself back on deck. Lionel eventually sold the ivy to Bill Shannon of Sevenard, and in an uncanny turn of circumstances, the exact same thing happened to Bill. The ivy, however, didn't fare so well, and after Bill brought it back to Sevenard and left it tied to the jetty, got in a blow, and he was wrecked under the Sevenard jetty, which really didn't deserve that sort of fate. Lionel's son Graham was the next in line, and he too joined his father in the business of fishing. However, before Dad was allowed to become a full-time fisherman, Grandpa had learned a trade. So Dad went on and became a carpenter. It was these skills that enabled him to become a very good boat builder. He built many boats. With the maid on being built for Lionel and himself to work together. Graham went on the 40-foot grating in the backyard at Bay Road, and to form a partnership with his cousin Lynn Shannon, a successful union that lasted for many years. Graham finally left the business to buy a bigger boat, the Taparoo, to enable me to join him in the fishing business. Well done, John.